We do see, okay, there you go. Shyvana's right away taken out. They know that is I'm So Fresh's go-to. Really one of the only Shyvanas we're going to be seeing in the jungle here this weekend unless somebody else tries to bring that out. It's been top lane versus the Mundo, and I expect to see him banned out here as well.
I also, the reason I like highlighting that is I feel like the Odd One's not necessarily a Shyvana player.
Right.
You know, I was talking to Tom about this, Optimus Tom backstage, and we were discussing champion pools and where they're shared, and I think Elise and Vi are champions that I'm So Fresh and the Odd One could still pull out in the current meta. They also both like to play the likes of Nocturne, but, and we said, we were also highlighting that I'm So Fresh probably only one that'll jungle Shyvana between the two of them.
Absolutely. Still with the bans, going quite slow. Still seeing some of the ones we have throughout the entire weekend. Olaf, that Mundo finally coming out, gets his third ban, I believe, coming up on a fourth one maybe. Cassidy 100%. Don't think we're going to see him in this tournament.
Lemon Dogs learned where Super Hot Crew did not from yesterday. They've banned away both Shyvana and Dr. Mundo, and I think that's a good pickup. Interesting last ban here of the Kha'Zix that is directly targeted at Schley. They want to remove his burst potential and remove the zone control that he has. But champions like Orianna are still available. Ziggs still available for pickup if they wanted to go that route. You've got all the AD carries. Yesterday we were seeing Lucian and Jinx bans all the way through. So a lot of high priority picks available here for both teams.
Wouldn't be surprised to see the fast Renekton coming out if they do decide to grab this Lucian. It's the pickup that makes Crazy Caps comfortable. We'll have to see what they decide to go with. They're still a little undecided as they hover champions and just kind of play with the minds of TSM.
Yeah, we're going to see how this goes. Now, in terms of the players, as we said, the Lemon Dogs roster, we need to keep our eyes on I'm So Fresh and Schleyer. These are two guys that have played together for a long time. They've been on a number of different teams together. Yeah. And I feel like their synergy is going to need to be what we should be looking at, what we should keep our eyes on. Because if they can get snowballing and try shut down Bjergsen, that's going to be key to getting the Lemon Dogs, a foot up and taking advantage early.
And we can kind of see what TSM's trying to do already with this composition. They don't know much, so they'll take away what they do know and ban it out as the same aspect. They take that Elise away, the Shyvana's not there. I'm So Fresh is going to be not hurt in his jungle, but not on his tops.
And it's super safe picks as well.
Yeah.
The Odd One's on a comfort champion. He's played a lot of Elise. It's one of his, big preferred picks. He played a lot during the LCS. Dyrus and Renekton, another champion he's very comfortable with, and they're safe. You're not revealing anything, and I think with TSM being red side, this actually plays into their favor. They have the ability to wait to see what Lemon Dogs lock in, and they can afford to counter pick, most likely leaving the mid lane pick to last to give Bjergsen that possibility of controlling mid.
That is a big fight initiation that they just locked in with Annie and Malphite. I think that mid game is going to be too much of a problem for them as they start grouping together. We'll see how they decide to react, and it looks like it could be a safety pick here with the Sivir. They don't want to be really in the range of any of that.
We'll see how that works out. I quite like the spell shield against the the initiation of Malphite and Annie, but the Malphite lock-in's interesting. Lemon Dogs played Malphite at Worlds, and it didn't work out. They had an all-in composition. It didn't pan out for them. The decision-making for this, we'll see how the rest of the comp matches up. You may see the likes of an Orianna getting locked in here and have an ultimate mega wombo combo, Orianna, Annie, and Malphite. If TSM get caught in that, that's going to be terrifying. But we'll see how Lemon Dogs decide to close out, to wrap up that composition.
It'll also be interesting to see how he plays the Malphite. We saw Wicked take it yesterday with the Triforce, which added the AD, and you could see that magic resistance was being built on the other side. So a little mentality game being played there. You called out the Ziggs. It's being hovered over. Right now, we are not seeing the mid lane, so Bjergsen is wanting the counter coming in for TSM.
This is definitely a trend that we're seeing more and more of. In the high level play, if you are red side, allow your mid laner to just counter pick. Again, for the TSM composition, it's just safety. You've got Taric, who's very good at playing aggressively and defensively in lane. Sivir can have a lot of harass and a lot of pressure down on Lucian. So I like the combo from TSM. Lemon Dogs are the ones picking the risky champions right now. If the Samumu does get locked in, this is very much a press R composition. They really want to lock everybody down and have the culling from Lucian try to, take targets out as they've been caught by the Curse of the Sad Mummy.
Wombo combo extraordinaire is being locked in here by Lemon Dogs. If they can get this fight down, there is not much you can do from it. You're already hanging from a thread on the initiation, and there is more than one that can be missed to still make that fight work.
Yeah, the key is going to be timing their ultimates together. And we'll see. You heard Schleyer, I think it was actually saying during the interview that this is a team that's only been together for about a month. And they're playing a composition that is very much reliant on coordination and timing. And if TSM are able to repel away from a curse or a bandage toss, or use a spell shield on a key initiation, there are members of TSM that can get away from this. Renekton can dash out, Elise can run away, Sivir can outrun. So I feel like TSM, as long as they play patiently and controlled, are in an advantageous position. And that's locked.
And speaking, that is awesome. An assassin to come out against this team. But you kind of can pull the Zed aspect into this, right? Yesterday, look at how tanky this team's going to get. Can Bjergsen cancel them out if they go into late game?
Because there are 3 squishies on the side of Lemon Dogs, Annie, Lucian, and Ziggs.
That's where he has to impact.
That's where he has to impact. Those are the targets. He's obviously not going to be looking at a Mumu and Malphite.
Right,
and the reason
they're going to be in his face.
The reason I like the pick, you've got 3 or 4 champions here on the side of TSM that can get away from a wombo combo.
That's true.
You're going to have LeBlanc being able to dash in and out of fights, being able to duplicate her dash, you know, for a second time if she needs the range. So I really like the versatility of TSM, and we're going to see who's better at the teamwork aspect here, because if TSM can kite and control and play like Alliance did, they'll win.
That's something that interested me going through both of the videos that we just watched. Is TSM's Bjergsen came in and said, the social was very easy for us coming into this. So if that's something that they worked on right away, some teams get a player and they're like, we'll work with him and see if it works. But that's what they had first, and everything fell into place. So as the teams load into the Rift, just a reminder that the Battle of the Atlantic continues Friday from Los Angeles with Double Lift and Counterlogic Gaming taking on Arnett and Team Alternate. So don't forget to miss that.
Yeah, keep up to date with that. Head to lolesports.com. Make sure you grab those tickets.
I said miss it.
Yeah, I know what you meant. Don't miss it is what you want.
Don't miss it.
The LeBlanc pick for me is very exciting. So we've seen our first time a Mumu, first time LeBlanc. This will be, I think, the second Malphite. And I think those are the key champions we have to keep our eyes on. If Bjergsen is able to control Schleyer, like he was able to do in the spring split, I think this is going to be tough times, because we've seen LeBlancs in the course of the last couple of months. You know, there was a lot of talk about hot shot GG's LeBlanc. There was talk of fakers LeBlanc. And you just see how they delete people from the map. And this is something that is going to be very, very scary for Xerius.
Here we are, ladies and gentlemen, Battle of the Atlantic. The spot 2 of the summer split teams being played out right now. And we're going to see Team Solo Mid on the red side versus Lemon Dogs on the blue as they make their way out of base. The LeBlanc pick is in. One of our interesting things for Bjergsen. We can't forget that our matchup of this one is in the jungle. I'm So Fresh versus Odd One. And he didn't get a Shyvana, and we saw that in picks and bans. They targeted 2 at him. Well, not 2, but they picked his Elise and targeted his Shyvana. So they know they wanted to hit I'm So Fresh.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think that the fact that we're watching an Amumu being picked here is interesting, and I think we may see him actually even going for something like a Spirit of the Spectral Wraith, being able to sustain that mana, get that HP back. And I think it, you know, I haven't actually seen too much Amumu in 3.14, so we'll have to see how well I'm So Fresh can actually perform. But a lot of the onus is going to be on how many people you can catch with that Curse of the Sad Mummy. And considering the mobility of TSM, he has to be so on point with pulling the trigger and making sure he lands that.
Well, here's the thing. They start off with a Mumu that's already a jungler that you may want to get in the face of, especially knowing the team. There is no hard crowd control unless Annie has already bursted that stun up, which she probably will, and it's AoE. So if they get a ward in, they know where he's going, and they just have to avoid that.
Yeah, the level 1 power of Team Solo Mid is much higher than that of Lemon Dogs. So, like you said, whenever you see a Mumus, like we've seen a Mumus during the course of this year, actually, it's not unusual to invade their blue. Challenge for it. Deny it if possible, because if you group up and chase it down, you immediately put I'm So Fresh and a Mumu very far behind. So Lemon Dogs are going to have to group up and make sure they go 4 or even 5 man onto this blue buff, or alternatively just do a blue buff trade, which is something we do see fairly often.
And you hear some, you're speaking about the Spectral Wraith on a Mumu, you hear people that try it or play it, and they're like, I feel like an AD carry when I go back in the jungle. I just heal up, and then I go back and fight.
Yeah.
So it definitely is formidable, and he will be back to the fight. That's something you always have to watch for. And we are on to the Rift, as you hear that sultry voice just calling us in. Let's see what they can do here. They're going to set out the fan out, as we expected in most of these games right here. The pride of the Battle of the Atlantic on the line.
So we're only at 50 seconds. The teams could potentially group up and try to challenge for a buff, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. And this is actually a good sign for I'm So Fresh. If he's able to pick up his blue uncontested, it'll work well for him. However, the Odd One is hanging around in the back of his red buff. So we may actually see Dyrus and the Odd One going in. We'll just have to see how the next sort of 30 to 40 seconds pans out.
Looking at the trinkets.
Everyone's gone Warding Totem.
Yep, Warding
Every single
Totem
one of them
started
Warding
off.
Totem. What you tend to see whenever anybody starts with a sweeping lens, you can assume that there's going to be some form of invade, and we've seen junglers or supports doing it. But the trend that's picked up most popularity recently is the supports start with a Warding Totem, they get a couple minutes of ward very early on, like you're seeing Xerius do now, and then changing it to the likes of the sweeping trinket, just to allow denial of vision later on. Once again, you see Odd One, Wild Turtle, Expressial, the grouping up. So it does look like a lane swap is most likely going to come into play here for Team Solo Mid.
So with the LeBlanc pick, how does this kind of have to play out for them? Because we did talk about that I'm So Fresh and Mew is going to get quite tanky, but if he can find all of the targets that he wants, Lucian, Ziggs, and Annie, how does he start that? Is it all just a bottom row game for him? It's focus on the bottom of the map.
Bjergsen's most likely going to play this one out, much like you see Kassadin's being played. You see Team Solo Mid to actually secure that blue buff. Very interesting, Lemon Dogs group up to pick up the red buff for themselves. So they fell back from TSM going for the invade. And that means that Mumu has no blue buff, so we really need to keep tabs on his clear speed and his farming speed.
He should be able to head up and grab it with the 2v1 being swapped out and the help from Annie. We'll see what he does here.
Yeah, the decision is going to come from the rest of the team if they actually try to push with him. It looks like Mew is going to be going for the support, but look at Dyrus coming to defend this blue buff. He's going to check it out, realizes nobody's there yet. Now, Dyrus can afford to do this because his wave is not being pushed against his tower yet. And it does look like he's maybe just going to back up. He's going to see that ward. And now all of a sudden, I'm So Fresh and Mew are in a little bit of trouble if Dyrus wants to contest it.
He's got about 2 waves of time to not have to be in that lane, and he'll be okay. We'll have to see how this pans out. It looks like he is going to try to pressure. He will clear that away for the Odd One and be nice. Good guy, Dyrus. But it looks like I'm So Fresh does get his blue, but this is going to mean Odd One is much faster around the jungle to start, and he is going to be a higher level as he comes into lane. Yeah, a little bit of an awkward start here from the teams. I think Dyrus is doing the best that he can. He's currently sitting on 7 CS to Mew's 0. Mew forced to use a teleport because Slay's already in trouble. Bjergsen trying to go hard. The Ignite is on the first blood. 3 minutes and 25 seconds, and he already puts himself on the board.
And the problem is, that's going to keep happening.
Lane. Oh my gosh.
It's not over yet. They're going to dive around him.
They were watching it. This is old TSM. They sat there and waited for the minions to get, he knew he was going down.
2-0 right now. TSM are going to be able to pick this tower up as well. There's a massive minion wave sitting behind them. Mew only has 2 CS to his name, and he's burned his teleport. This is a massive advantage for TSM already in the opening minutes of the game.
I have not seen 5 driver seats in a car before, but it looks like TSM has brought one to the party. Already 4 minutes in, they find the top lane turret, 2 kills on the board, and a grand in their pocket across pretty much everybody on the team, but Dyrus, who's holding his own in the bottom lane.
Yeah, and Dyrus is still doing well. If you compare the 1v2 situations, Dyrus is farming, he's getting levels, and he's actually going to be relevant as the game goes on. We're definitely going to have to keep our eyes on Bjergsen when he returns to the mid lane. But right now, it looks like I'm So Fresh wants to get a kill back. Dyrus sniffs it. You can see he's toying with the recall, and he realizes something is up. He realizes the presence is here. And if I'm So Fresh gets any vision, a banish toss may be trouble. And TSM, they're on the inner turret.
There's not much you can do. Bjergsen killed Slaya in mid. He's got no time to roam after going down. He's actually forced to back already in lane. And they are just doing huge damage here, even before the 8-minute armor mark.
I'm So Fresh needs to move up here and defend the tower. If I'm So Fresh shows his position to anybody on TSM, TSM can opt to stick with this 3-man focus because I'm So Fresh got a wolf camp for losing a top inner turret. Nobody's helping Mew.
They are trying to do what they can, but it's absolutely not in the right spot. This is the social. This is the team communication over the ability of mechanics playing with each other.
Yeah, and I'm So Fresh, he's still waiting for a gank. His buffs have now timed out. He's signaled his location. Bjergsen can pop him. Bjergsen's got double Dawn's Ring as well as that Amp Time. They've actually picked the fight with Dyrus.
There's the slice away. The Dice, they know they can't follow. They're going to be 3 under a turret. It'd be scary for Bjergsen to go into this one, and he knows it as well. So it looks like they're going to back off. Dyrus says, we're fine. Let's capitalize everywhere else that we can.
And they're doing perfectly at it. All right, now you see with the 2 towers and the CS, Sivir has a 5-minute BF sword in addition to a long sword. Now we are going to see Lemon Dogs most likely replying with a tower on this bottom lane if they stick around. They decide against it wisely as you do see the Odd One coming into range and at least reveal his position. But the Odd One having a great start to this matchup, an assist and those 2 towers thanks to the unimpeded focus and I think the lack of low-level presence of a Mumu.
Well, if they can't get to team fight phase, that Amumu, that Malphite Unstoppable Force is not going to mean much. Already 6 minutes into the game, the fastest dragon we've had this weekend, and it is going to be going to Team Solo Mid. More gold in their pocket. Already 2 turrets down on the map. And these guys are just wreaking havoc right now.
Completely uncontested. I doubt Lemon Dogs really knew exactly what was going on. They made some assumptions thanks to the ward that Crazy Caps put down, but a very, very dominant start. And before the 7-minute mark, there's 3,000 gold lead. And if you look at Schleier's positioning, he cannot challenge Bjergsen. He cannot get in range.
No.
Level 5 to level 6, he's already lost a duel once. He's falling behind in CS, and this is Bjergsen's lane completely. If Schleier steps a little too far forward, he will get bursted down and exploded.
For him to win that matchup so early makes it hard. It's almost like holding on to the bomb is more of a threat for him now, because once he throws it, Bjergsen wants blood.
And he's going to be able to secure it for himself at any moment. And the thing is, that's very good here for TSM, is that because of the kill that Bjergsen has and the presence he has in the mid lane, if he shoves the lane down, he can afford to roam. We do see Xerius getting stunned up, and that's just special. It's showing, hey, I can do this. Don't pick a fight with me, buddy, because we'll take you out.
So a huge thing, the factor playing into this one, I'm So Fresh quickly put on a champion he is not able to excel at for his team. Yes, Amumu can excel, but he's not the one that's going to come up and farm your lanes or help snowball your lanes if he's blue buff down, if he's leveled down, and that's what they made sure they did.
Xerius has been stunned up. This time they're going in.
Good bit of damage. He's going to be able to get out of that one. Not too much of a problem, but this means that every lane is consistently being won. Even trying to come back on Dyrus, he went back to the top lane, they switched it bottom, and they may even grab this turret within the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on how quickly Wild Turtle's going to be able to push it down. A little bit of assistance here from the likes of the Odd One. We talked about how getting Bjergsen in the mid lane may have freed up the Odd One to roam around the map, and it looks like the focus in this matchup is quite heavily on this duo lane right now. TSM took advantage of I'm So Fresh not helping top, and it allowed them to take 2 towers. And now, thanks to having this wave pushed up, the Odd One's hanging around the bottom lane saying, look, there may be a reply gank, there may be a counter gank, so let me try just back up Wild Turtling special and take control of it. Bjergsen's got blue buff, and you know what? You got to give props to Schleier. He is keeping up in CS.
Absolutely.
Considering how defensive he's been playing.
It's made it tough, and now he's level 7. Wasn't really able to roam much beforehand, wouldn't have really made much of a difference without his ultimate because all the lanes were so pushed. But now that he can help, hopefully relieve some of this pressure on the lanes. Dyrus all the way up to that blue buff, making sure they still have eyes on that. And you can see 3 wards protecting Dyrus because he's got to go deep in his entire lane. He's got 2 turrets down already.
Yeah, he's working great. They've caught Bjergsen though. Schleier wants to jump in. It misses completely.
You can only catch a LeBlanc so much.
And that's exactly what we were highlighting. Now Xerius is in trouble.
Oh, Xerius gets caught after that one. Everybody was watching the last fight, but Xerius, the Ignite is down. The last attack coming from Turtle. They solidify that one. Look to push this wave, and good damage though from Crazy Caps there.
And just to talk about Bjergsen getting away, he managed to use the distortion, LeBlanc's W, after the Banish Toss stun came in. And that's something, if Renekton slice and dices, he can get out. If Wild Turtle uses Spell Shield, he can get out. Elise can repel. TSM can avoid the Wombo combo if they hit their skill shots. The Slayer with a good flash.
Losing flash against the LeBlanc is not what you want to have happen, but he does save himself for the time being, hopefully to find a little bit of help from I'm So Fresh in middle here. They know it. They are playing off of every instant. He can't even use the rubber ducky.
Absolutely deaded is the best way to describe it. I'm So Fresh is toying with Bjergsen, but I'm not sure this is a fight they want. Bjergsen's low.
He is quite low, but he still has the distortions. He has the blue buff. He should be quite fine here. Mew coming up with that unstoppable force. He makes sure to get himself out of it. Oh, they hit him. They may get the blue buff. They're going to not follow the clone. Xerius picks up the blue, which may help get a little bit of bottom lane back, but that's not really where they wanted to kill right now.
No, not ideal on the support, but you'll take what you can get. Like Khalifa Bjergsen, he didn't have 3 kills up, so no additional gold to give away. And we'll see how Xerius can make use of this blue buff. Unfortunately, because of a Bloodthirster...
About getting that bottom lane back.
Bloodthirster Sivir at 10 minutes. There's no way that Crazy Caps Lucian can trade with Sivir right now. He needs to get that Trinity Force completed. Or they need to burst Sivir down before she can sustain back any HP.
They got to be quite careful with that bottom turret. It looks like Wild Turtle looks special, want a blue buff. They go for the ward already. They do see that Xerius is, rather, Crazy Caps is back, so they may not be able to dive as much as they wanted, but that potential gold sitting at about 300 HP on that turret. Dragon should be coming up, about 1:30 on that, and still full control on the map. You can see TSM is slowed down a bit, but they're still moving on things. They're not letting it go.
Very deep warding.
Yes.
I think from the teams that we've been seeing this weekend, I think TSM's early deep vision is very good, and it's part of the reason that they are allowed and they are getting away with most of these very deep pushes. A few minutes ago, Dyrus is actually basically farming near the inhibitor turret. And at 10 minutes into the game,
jungle.
That's basically unheard of, but it was because he had that ring of vision you highlighted. And you can see him a minute or two ago, Especial. He moved up, he's got the Tribush ward, he's got that deep lane ward. It's gonna allow TSM to be fully aware of TSM's movements. And I'm So Fresh has moved up here, but they know it. They've pinged it, they've seen him going across the bush, and you can see immediately Turtle and Especial back off.
4,000 gold at 12 minutes into the game. The fights are still going to be pretty chaotic for TSM to get themselves out of. You can still see them understanding there's power in these ultimates. Bjergsen trying to get away as they chase him down. They can still get something out of these, but it's going to be very hard. The assassination potential Bjergsen's going to have soon, they're going to have to pretty much kite.
So something that we've seen throughout the games, and like Pekka was talking about yesterday, when you get behind, you cannot get put into a position where you're too afraid to do anything. Because if you do nothing, all you're going to do is give up more advantages, more map presence. So what the Lemon Dogs need to do is find an opportunity where they can combo Tibbers, Curse the Sad Mummy, plus potentially, you know, the Mega Inferno Bomb. And if they can win that engagement, they can claw back that 3,000-4,000 gold. But they have to be 100% perfect, because if they mess it up, they just give away more gold and allow their lead to grow even further away from them.
Almost at 20K. The turrets have definitely slowed down. This is going to be the Dragon in the bottom lane. Will Dyrus choose to go to the top? So it looks like they won't be able to contest this once again because of the trouble around the map. Did I'm So Fresh just lose his blue? It looks like it's actually still up and he's forced off of it.
Yeah, Dyrus was just running interference up in that top lane and just getting in I'm So Fresh's face.
Yeah.
He's dancing around on the wards, and oh, it does look like there's a fight on bottom.
On the hunt, gets rocked right there. A good stun. The Tibbers comes out, but it's the spell shield that actually stops most of the damage. All of that on Turtle just came from Crazy Cap, so very well played by that duo.
Dragon secured. They're going to push the wave. They're going to take out their third tower of the game, and Team Solo Mid can push down this bottom wave if Bjergsen and the Odd One want to come in range. And finally, I'm So Fresh gets onto his blue, but I'm So Fresh has had zero impact in this game. There's been no presence from the Samumu at all.
You say finally, but he may actually not know. He goes ahead to smite it down. He's going to have to be forced over the wall, but there's the Odd One getting the lockdown, getting the execute, and he doesn't get his blue buff.
No, unfortunately not. The Odd One says, thank you very much. I will have that gift wrapped for me, and he manages to
It's the
secure
holidays.
And as we talked about, the warding that's coming down from TSM, and thanks to the presence in the mid lane, bottom lane, now Schleier's in trouble.
Absolutely everywhere. They know it's only harass that time, but what is Schleier going to do about it? Just take it and hope that his team can start to regroup. You can see Mew knowing they need to keep farming. Like you said before, Schleier's still keeping up in CS somehow, being 0-2. He's getting himself around. So they're just not making it count.
The problem with this is even though Schleier's keeping up in CS, nobody else is.
No.
There's a 40 CS difference in the top lane. There's a 20 CS difference by your AD carries, let alone 3 kills, 4 towers, 2 dragons. The picture is not pretty for the Lemon Dogs. And the only way is to find mistakes like this potentially. You see, I'm So Fresh gone in, but
I don't think he knew that the Odd One was going to be there, but they throw it in. The repel, actually the damage hits on the Odd One. They could start to find some kills here, but Bjergsen coming from the side enters in with a kill for himself. It's going to be Dyrus with Dominus on, gets the flash, gets the kite. Especial may be the one to go down in this one, and as he says, his grandpa chair, and he does.
And 1 for 1 at the end of the day, but a good turnaround. Odd One manages to make it out alive. And a little bit of overconfidence there from TSM. This is the one thing that can cost them and can come back to bite them in the backside. If they stick around longer than they should. If you look at the minimap, I'm So Fresh was relying on the damage from Mega Inferno Bomb, and it does hit.
Yep.
Chunks him down. Luckily, that sort of snare stun from Curse the Sad Mummy held Odd One in place. And the rest of the fight here, TSM realized that they bit off more than they could chew. They didn't have Wild Turtle there. If Wild Turtle was in the jungle with them, that fight could have gone another way because of the bouncing damage from the ricochet. But unfortunately, it wasn't the case, and TSM lose that small engagement.
Getting Odd One out with double buff. Especial goes down, so it helps them a little bit. That kill going over to Schleya that time, and he did get the first one we saw in the bottom lane. So they're creeping back. This is the part where we can kind of see that they aren't afraid to go in. That seemed like it was a little overzealous by I'm So Fresh, but everybody was there to help him out. So the coordination coming together a little bit, even though they have a lot of pressure on them right now.
Yeah, and there's a big goal disparity between these teams. You can see the numbers on your screen right now, 2,000, 2,000, etc. But
there's a hole in Dyrus' pocket being burned right now.
What it equates to is a Bloodthirster Zeal on Sivir and a Deathfire Grass Blue Pot on LeBlanc. And TSM, they've got some vision. They're going to shove down this tower. They realize that without a wombo combo, there's very little reply because Bjergsen should be able to just pop any one of those three. It looks like he wants to try.
Yeah, you can see him just walking around. He's trying to duo up with Odd One and make their way to safety. Mew getting pushed out of this top lane. Dominus is on, so it seems like Dyrus knew the engagement was going to be a little tough with that Sunfire Cape, but he is able to win it overall.
Defensive wards here from Lemondogs down the bottom half of the map. It's allowing them to at least delay this tower going down, but that's a fully stacked Bloodthirster right now, and every single time Wild Turtle gets in range, that tower takes very big chunks. Bjergsen farming very well in this mid lane as well. He was pushing up with the aid of Dyrus, is maybe going to toy with the idea of finding a kill. Doesn't happen in the bottom lane.
Whoa, they go in for the ultimate again. I'm So Fresh has to get back out of the fight so quickly. The inventory is really only mobility boots for him. Oh, not this time, says Special. He flashes it. They take a good bit of damage, but can they kite the fight? Odd One is going to be taking some good damage, but he gets over on Xerius, and they will now turn it around. Odd One's trying to get back into this.
Here
he
comes
is bleeding and limping away. Will he be able to get a Bjergsen on one? The Deathfire Grass has been hit out, but there is damage everywhere, and they drop the Odd One. Schleya picks himself up another kill, but the Bjergsen finds a double, and they set themselves up for the minion wave right behind.
3 for 1. We've seen Unstoppable Force almost connecting, but Special with a great flash manages to get out of range. And this is the problem that Lemondogs have. If they don't hit multiple members of TSM, they're not going to win the prolonged fights. And this is basically it. Special with a last-second flash. I mean, it was so well timed. And again, a Dazzle locks up Malphite sitting in the background. Mew had very little impact. Odd One does manage to survive with some very good juking, and because of all the stalling, because of the delay that TSM was able to apply, it just bought time for both Dyrus and Bjergsen to get in range. Losing 3 for 1, but getting a tower and winning a very convincing team fight, it's a trade they'll take any day of the week.
And you could see kind of how much chaos there was there. The Odd One was so low, but everybody was fighting someone else. Malphite went to the back line. They were all fighting Odd One. The communication may not be there yet.
If Lemondogs aren't able to pick up a very quick kill, all the fights are going to be like that.
Yeah.
Because there's so much mobility from TSM that they can kite in and out of fights and just continually, cause trouble for the Lemondogs, that Lemondogs have to blow somebody up. And you see TSM, they literally just walk into the jungle, take blue, and walk out. Nobody from Lemondogs can challenge the 10,000 gold down.
Quick shot, we have to go back to our Rumble in the Jungle. Odd One versus I'm So Fresh. Look at this item discrepancy.
2-1-4 on Odd One's Elise. We highlighted how it was a pick that we expected On One to most likely trend towards.
Yeah.
I had no idea I'm So Fresh was going to play in a movement. I don't think anybody would have predicted that. And I don't think it was a good choice. I don't think his early game presence was impactful in any way, and his decision-making could be questioned as well. He was trying to make a gank on Dyrus, while TSM was pushing 2 towers in the top lane.
Right.
You need to be more fluid when you see your opponent moving around the map.
And, another reason they could have just battered down that top lane so fast is you look at Mew and I'm So Fresh, Malphite and Amumu, that's not power that's going to stop a push. You don't have enough damage to kill somebody out right there. They're going to walk away. So that was played on by TSM over and over.
Yeah, Bjergsen taking a page out of Fnatic's book. He's pulling a Fnatic death bush, waiting for somebody to come by, but not the case this time around. And again, the thing you want to keep looking at is vision. Bjergsen's in trouble.
Bjergsen! What's behind door number 1? And it could be safety. Get out of here. Oh, no! I'm So Fresh doesn't get that one. It's one chain. Does he have another chain? Not this time. It's going to be I'm So Fresh on the other side. He still gets the damage in. TSM turns this one around on Lemondog's head, and they're going to be going past inhibitors. No, they're going to slow down there, and they're going to get 2.
And that is why Bjergsen is doing so well. He manages to get away from a face check, thanks to the distortion and the mimic distortion, managing to put a great amount of distance between him and the Lemondogs. Now, all of a sudden, with no ultimates available, with the exception of Unstoppable Force, TSM are going to take this tower basically uncontested.
The level that Bjergsen was at the time he was attacked pretty much higher than anybody on Lemondogs. You would have think the LeBlanc gets zeroed out as well. Not this time, not when you are leading the game for your team. 12-3 is the score now as we reach 20 minutes in. And it's going to be a 13,000 gold lead. Well, about 12,000 as they reach up to 26 there. So a lot of work to be done here. TSM completely in the driver's seat. Game one looks to be theirs.
Yeah, I hate to be pessimistic, but the only way TSM can lose the lead they have generated right now is to go individually, like Bjergsen's doing right now, get caught out, and give up a lot of those killing spree bonuses.
Oh dear.
I think Bjergsen's very confident because I think he may actually want to kill I'm So Fresh. He had some vision of him. He's looking for I'm So Fresh. And we'll have to see. It does look like Bjergsen realized that he hasn't found the mummy, and he's going to have to back away as the rest of Lemon Dogs are moving through the jungle.
Both of them had enough words there to figure out that they were getting themselves into a sticky situation. And once I'm So Fresh reached his team, Bjergsen had enough. He's waiting for his. Odd one coming out of the base. Looks like they're hanging around a Baron, actually. Wow.
Wow, this is an early. But you know what? Wild Turtle currently has a Bloodthirster fully stacked, Static Shiv, as well as a Last Whisper. You compare that to Crazy Caps. He has a Last Whisper and a Phage. That's it. Now all of a sudden the rest of TSM's here. And this is the earliest Baron of the weekend. 22 minutes on the clock.
Earliest Dragon, earliest Baron.
14,000 gold, the biggest lead. I actually think this lead is even bigger than what we've seen from Alliance and Dignitas yesterday, and a convincing start. You know, it's just an injection of Europe into North America, and all of a sudden you have this totally dominant team.
I'm sure it's just that. Absolutely. That's the whole reason. Still another turret going down, the second tier to be dropped, and that leaves just the inhibitor turrets up with the Nexus turrets. 5 more to go for Team Solo Mid. They may decide to go straight down one of the lanes, and they've actually been consistent about what they're doing. They're not going on the back foot. They always want more, and it's something we actually saw get the teams in trouble yesterday.
I think the consistency of TSM's decision-making in terms of vision and where they're pushing has really stood out even more than this massive lead that they've built for themselves. Odd one with Wild Turtle and Special realizing someone's in trouble. Although I'm So Fresh, they may want to dive, but you don't want to dive a team that's this far ahead with Baron.
Down the Shirelles. Can they get in here? Oh, it's whoa. That's not where you want your Lucian to be, but they did a great job at making sure it happened that way. The bomb goes out on the other side. He cannot get the hook shot before he goes down. Odd one drops Schleia, and they are going to have free reign here. Only losing one, but they still got enough to push.
Yeah, they're going to be able to take Mew out completely. They focused on Wild Turtle. A good flash, but I think it's just delaying the inevitable.
Yeah, he might be able to queue back. Who knows? He doesn't have that Triforce run that Wicked built on him. Mew gets the Ignite down. There's it. Qs him out. Odd one's going to be able to pick it up after the repel. Good communication there. I'll Ignite. You kill him.
Yeah, 4-1-6. The General lands the last killing blow. And now, while all of that was going on, Bjergsen wasn't going to chase. He made a call to split push, get the wave pushing on the bottom lane. So while they were shutting down Mew, Bjergsen is now taking minions to the bottom lane while a 3-man TSM shoves it into the middle lane. And this is the point that I think stands out for me in TSM's gameplay. They're realizing where there's opportunities, realizing where they can push and take advantage of their opponent's decisions, and they're just capitalizing in monumental ways time and time again.
So let's figure out a way that, well, we're going to figure it out. Hopefully Lemon Dogs can. They can stop this next time. It has to be through picks and bans. They can't allow I'm So Fresh to lose that many champions.
So number
but they're
one,
going to have that switch up. So
number one is picks and bans. They need to draft better. I don't think Malphite or Amumu are smart picks against the composition that TSM actually eventually locked in later down the line. I mean, Malphite was the 3rd pick after seeing Renekton and Elise, and I already maybe would have gone against it. I also think that I'm So Fresh needs to respond to TSM's pushes. He cannot sit and say, I want to force a 3v1, I want to force a 3v1, I want to force... Dude, you're losing 2 towers.
Or in the beginning, to do with the Wolves, then going back to sit there.
You need to respond to what your opponents are doing. I think those are the 2 keys that they have to focus on going into match 2, because truly, this is a nearly insurmountable lead. Wild Turtle's 1v1ing the top laner, and that's something you never see. Dyrus may be in trouble.
Dyrus is in a 4v1 right now. Let's see how long he lasts on this. He actually dives into the fight, and he is causing them to want to back off. Odd one just on the backside. He's only down to about 20% HP after they have all had the chance to use more than one spell reel.
2v4. Dyrus just goes complete man mode, 1v4 in that situation. They're going to dive him.
They're absolutely going to dive him. He's got the rage ready, the double damage, the stun as well to come out, and they lock it down. It's going to be the inhibitor. They're looking for Nexus turrets soon here, and the clocks almost won't let them because the champions will be up, but they'll be back soon.
20,000 gold at 25 minutes. TSM getting close to 800 gold per minute more than the
They're
Lemon
gonna
Dogs.
stick on it.
And this is the most
Wow.
convincing, commanding win we've seen all weekend.
TSM came to play. Speaking with Reginald before the game, he was actually feeling quite iffy from the scrim performances of yesterday to today, but apparently they were just shaking off some nerves.
TSM came to dominate.
Yes.
That was absolute destruction, and I cannot fault a single decision that they made there. The very last fight, Dyrus going 1v4, and the odd one just coming into the cleanup crew and actually pick up kills. That really visualizes how far ahead Team Solo Mid were over this renovated Lemon Dogs roster.
You can't give Bjergsen a kill that early. Completely uncontested, a 1v1. It was a surprise to everybody, and we saw it as it was going down. I mean, that's how quickly and aggressive he was, and they like to say he's a bit like Reginald, and we saw that at level 1.
A level 3 kill. He was in Schleier's face all the way from level 1. And coming into the match, when I was talking about the matchups, back in the spring split when Schleier was playing, Bjergsen already sort of had Schleier's number and was able to challenge him, contest him, and out-duel him. Schleier farmed well, but that was the only thing he was doing right. He had no kill presence on any other lanes and no impact on Bjergsen's incredibly powerful LeBlanc, who finished 8-1-2.
And we have to look one more time at the Rumble in the Jungle, which I kind of want to bring into the next game because I don't feel like I'm So Fresh got anything he wanted. He looked very uncomfortable on that champion of Amumu. The ultimates were a bit short. LeBlanc was getting out, the bandage toss, and there was, like you said, there was enough time to distortion out after a bandage toss when you should be click-click.
You could have changed that Amumu for the likes of a Zinzao or a Jarvan, who would have had a bigger impact against that type of composition, would have caused some more disruption, maybe still had that wombo combo effect you were looking for. But I also don't think an all-in press R comp is necessarily what fits anymore. It hasn't worked for a long time because the game is so much quicker, and you need to have those mobility champs in your pocket.
You see, Lemon Dogs has to do, as we said, partway through the game when we knew that TSM was just taking too much of a lead, this is one of the points they have to win. They cannot take this lightly in Champion Select because this could be the last chance.
There's been no changes so far, with the exception of a much slower ban phase now from the Lemon Dog side. This is the first change that we've seen. In the previous game, there was 3 bruisers banned on the side of Lemon Dogs. They took out Olaf, Shyvana, and Dr. Mundo. This time around, they said, Wild Turtle, we don't want you on Sivir. But it still leaves Jinx, Lucian up and available for selection if they wanted to go that route.
I feel like the 80... It could be banned out for the fact that they are just going for somewhat of a chase comp. If Mundo doesn't get banned out, well, absolutely.
Elise first pick, Shyvana's still available as well.
Makes it through.
Renekton's still up. So I think if Shyvana gets picked...
They left the two of the... Yeah,
I think if Shyvana gets picked, Renekton will most likely be the response, and it might be something like a Renekton Elise. It might be the same first and second pick that we've seen from TSM in the previous game. I'm So Fresh does play Elise, and he does like to play that type of champion.
We'll see. Odd One's Vi is also open as well, and they'll have a definite awesome backline synergy if they take that with Shyvana. Shyvana is going to get locked in by Dyrus. We'll actually have to see where that goes. It'd be interesting to see Odd One play it, but it's just such domination in top lane.
Yeah, it really was. Dyrus and Mew didn't necessarily trade 1v1, but the moment they got involved in the team fights, you've seen what a difference impact. Unstoppable Force not hitting anyone because of good flashes, and Dyrus going in 4v1 and winning, you know. So I think Mew's going to have to pick a champion that can at least respond it and do something against Shyvana. Renekton is, in my mind, what they should be picking.
They do have time. 15 seconds left on the clock for Lemon Dogs. They are absolutely deciding. They don't want a special on that, so kind of really taking the playmaking out of bottom lane with a few picks there, and it looks like they do lock in that Renekton.
So I'm happy to see the Renekton lock in. I don't know if TSM would have locked it in. I don't know if Oddone would have taken jungle Shyvana or not, but it does allow him to sit on Elise again if he wants to go for that route, you know? Go for the jungle Elise, and then maybe lock in another support. They could go for another Taric if they wanted to go that route. So there's a lot of options available for both of these teams. Having the Thresh also tells you that Lemon Dogs want to have a little bit more presence in lane, want to try and maybe pick up a little bit more kills. Their Annie in the previous matchup just got too far behind too early and couldn't contest. And I think Thresh has more versatility, more options to help you if you do get behind. You can lantern gank, you can hook, box is good for zone control, etc.
So we do see that Elise being locked in by the Odd One, his champion that got him to Challenger. He played quite a bit of that on his road up to that that tier. Bjergsen locking in the Lucian for Wild Turtle. We'll probably see him leaving his pick for last as well. A lot of the dip, duck, dive composition coming in here from Lemon Dog, so they look like they want to stay safe and actually not go for so much of the press R in comp.
I already feel a little bit better about what I'm seeing. I feel like this composition is a little bit more current, if I can use that term. And I also think that maybe Lee Sin is not the best option because I feel like Shyvana and Elise are not really going to be threatened by Elise as the game goes on. However, swapping to the Vi, I'm much happier about this pick because he can get onto the Lucian in the back line. And if Bjergsen wants to go play another squishy mid laner, like say a Ziggs or a LeBlanc, Vi's instantly going to be in his face and chasing him down.
We'll have to see where they decide to continue with their picks. Ezreal being locked in. Last one is going to be the mid, but ooh, it looks like that Zed will be the lock-in as well. Annie going on the support, so Special keeps his stun locked down, potential kill in the lane. This is going to be big for TSM. They have really nice starting lanes.
And those were instant locks as well. I mean, that Zed Annie there was no hesitation at all. We seen Zed being played yesterday by Jezzes for SK. It didn't work against the tanky lineup. I feel like the potential for failure is still there as well. That Renekton and Vi could get to a point where they can't get, they're not worried, they're not threatened. The Sion pickup is going to be a potential counter to Zed, but the early levels are so crucial. If Schleier's Sion falls behind, he's not going to be able to survive long enough to get Death's Caress done, get the stun, and back away. But I'm not sure what this pick. I feel like Lemon Dogs are still playing old school champions and trying to make it work.
It's got to be comfort when you come into this.
I mean, this is me assuming it's AP mid. Assuming.
All right, we'll assume. So yeah, but coming into this, we see the Zed pick up again. Quite a tanky team. We kind of heard the guys talking yesterday, Peke and Ja, that Zed will fall off in this patch with the amount of tankiness, the amount of other champions like the jungler coming out of a farm jungle now to be that big. Not everybody's as killable as they were before.
No, definitely not. And they haven't swapped yet. And I'm going to keep my eye on the timers here and let you know as it goes on, as it loads up. But if that's going to be top lane Sion, top lane AP Sion's not a thing. I mean, it was never a thing we've seen. However, Bruiser top lane Sion is played by some people, and the lifesteal that you can get, the threat potential if you do build in Bruiser, in what is a Bruiser meta, effectively, it could be possible, and it is going to be a top lane Sion, so Mew's locked it in. We'll see if they're going to decide to do any sort of lane swap, but this is a brand new champion, and we've seen a lot of new champions being locked in this series.
It's the Battle of the Atlantic. You got to pull out all the stops here. TSM took game 1. We're looking for Lemon Dogs, and Lemon Dogs fans, at least, to grab game 2 here, and you have to think, Lemon Dogs has kind of mixed fans. They're also growing a fan base right now. TSM has a huge crowd behind them. They're not even on home turf. Yeah,
it's the truth. The European crowd is getting behind Team Solo Mid, and you can't blame them. I think a lot of the hype coming into this series around TSM, the performance, Bjergsen joining the team, I think we've seen it, and I would go so far as to say they've lived up to it right now because of that Game 1 performance.
It looked good on paper so far. It looks good on the pitch as well. They are going to be on to the Rift. TSM now on the blue side, 1 game up. Lemon Dogs looking to keep their Battle of the Atlantic hopes alive.
The first thing I want to point out is that I'm So Fresh has picked himself up a sweeping lens, so he's going to be potentially looking to invade, maybe looking to get in their faces a little bit more, deny some vision. I've just taken a look at Mew's Runes and Masteries, and he is running AP. He started with that Doran's Ring, and he's got himself 25 AP to kick this off. So we may see Mew try challenge Zed, or he may even try play AP Sion against Shyvana. And I guess if you stun Shyvana while she's burning out, she can't run you down. So I can see the theory in that one. As it stands, Lemon Dogs grouping on the bottom. If a hook lands, Odd One's in trouble.
Oh, man. Odd One gets hit up here. They go into the fight. Oh, it looks like it gets hit as well by another after consecutive stun. First blood going to I'm So Fresh. A complete flip-flop from last game.
Very, very good start. We've been seeing those level 1 fans throughout the weekend, the very defensive, slow starts. And that was, it's a blind hook. We've seen Zerius just chucking it out across the wall, managed to connect, and then they followed up with those on-hit stuns. So very good pickup. 4 assists down the board, and you'll see couple extra consumables being purchased here by Lemon Dogs as they go to lane. That's a good start for them, but they need to keep doing it, finding those hooks, finding those picks, and make sure they get into the advantageous position.
So with that happening, it doesn't really stop much if TSM really wanted to go in and do something. Maybe it does, but it looks like they're still going to be a bit aggressive on this one.
Yeah, just an aside. It's just something that Odd1 likes to do, dying early. He did it at Worlds. He's doing it here. It's just a thing that he's doing. What we are seeing, though, is some challenge on this red buff. As TSM, they may want to pick a fight, and this is 3v2 if there's a stun coming down, but because Odd1 started with a volatile spiraling, there's no cocoon.
Oh, grab onto Turtle, just a little bit more harass. Looks like the red buff will be taken away. So again, they say something's going to happen. We're still going to try to take this. And he actually does get it. That was quite close. Yeah,
so Odd1 smiting that away to secure the buff steal, in addition to positioning himself in a good body block. Make sure there was no risk of a mystic shot going awry. Now, I'm So Fresh may go in for an invade here to try and even up the balance, as Mew is just going to land a stun and back off.
And it looks like the Odd1 says, I'm going to meet you right down there. Clearly walks through the mid lane and stops the invade.
Yeah, he wanted to send a message. He's just signaling to I'm So Fresh that he's moving to the red buff, and that if I'm So Fresh doesn't have any form of backup, which they knew he didn't, all of the members of Lemondogs were accounted for. Odd1's just presence in that mid lane scares
now he doesn't know if he hasn't seen it, like he's waiting for him or not, because he's just sitting next to the buff. I think he's going to start at any time now. But he was a little weary there. Cost him some time, but that's even going to cost I'm So Fresh time, because he did not cut up to where he would need to go.
Yeah, and there's a buff stolen as well. And this low-level trade is basically going to set the tone, because Mew, with his stun and his shield, is already losing to Bjergsen Zed. And I feel like that trend is going to continue up until the point Bjergsen can kill him.
It's mana versus energy. He's consistently going to spit out those spells every time he has the chance. 300 gold lead, slightly picked up only from that first blood. We'll see if they can close this in the form of CS. That's where they gained a bit of their lead last time. Whoa, right out in the open, forcing the flash instead of just walking perpendicular, because you can't really tell where Thresh is going to throw that.
Wild Turtle playing that one safe, burning the summoner spell, but I think he's going to have to back off and play this one a little safer. Wild Turtle and Special have been very far pushed up that lane and has been trying to cause headaches for Crazy Caps and Xerius, and it cost him. It cost him a summoner spell. There was no real need to be that far up at this stage in the game.
There's still a lot of kill potential that comes into this lane now. I'm So Fresh on Vi, able to put out damage, and you can see they're already going to try and work off of that flash being down.
And very importantly, we see TSM and Lemondogs, they're in the 2v2 situation, which is playing into the Lemondogs' hands a little bit, because they struggled in the 2v1 situation. They basically lost the game by 7 minutes in game 1, thanks to some poor rotations and decision-making in the 2v1 setup. This time around, it's a lot more standard, because they're in a situation that they'll be playing like they do in solo queue, and you can see the players already keeping up in CS, and even though, you know, Mew is very low in HP, he's not super far behind Bjergsen's CS numbers.
I'm So Fresh hits another wall here. He goes to the top lane, but he walked through so many wards, even around the golems near that red buff, so spending more time not getting what he wanted. We'll see if it hurts him as we go into the game. He did get first blood, so he's trying to get himself back into this one. Wards already. He's going to start helping out the lanes a little bit more. Farming for Turtle. These guys flash down, and they're perfectly fine with it.
Yeah, and of course, don't forget that the wave is pushing against Turtle, so it gives him that air of sort of safety to sit back. And of course, Vi's pre-6 ganks are not as spectacular as you'd like them to be. So playing a little bit slower is... I'm So Fresh, Bjergsen trying to...
it just cuts through.
Trying to do a little bit of like a DC fake, as it were. The one thing that is good for I'm So Fresh is you've got hard stuns in all the lanes. Thresh, as well as Renekton, as well as Sign. So when he does gank with Assault and Battery, there's a lot of CC time to work through. Schleier's overextended.
Them bites, getting the burnout on him as well. Schleier sliced right through the Odd1. Very well timed.
Very well timed indeed. And they didn't first pick that last game. Lucian was first picked in game 1. You just see a little bit of a lantern bait, you know, try to make TSM think somebody's coming in.
Is somebody there?
And the thing that it does is, even though there was no one coming, and TSM will read that and say, hey, nobody's pushing, what it does is it plants a seed of doubt.
Oh, yeah.
There may be somebody coming, so you can never...
Now, every time he does it.
Exactly. You never know if somebody's actually going to be in your face. And still, Wild Turtle playing very, very aggressive, as Wild Turtle always does.
Touching on the rumble in the jungle right quick, I'm So Fresh definitely having a much better game as we see a bit of a roam here. Odd1 has stayed in the jungle. He's 5. I'm So Fresh is 4, and at 6, we were going to see Mew top, but the backing just made him back as well.
Yeah, Wild Turtle with a good move to get away a little bit quickly. He wasn't in threat of being caught by Xerius, and I think even if Mew was able to get in with a stun, I don't think Thresh would have been able to close the distance quickly enough to land any more CC. So we're pretty wise to get back thanks to the wards.
This is a farm, help my team get kills Sion. Simple, mobility boots in the beginning, Doran's ring to start, and he is, again, he's going to head back to top lane.
Yeah, AP Sions with Moby boots, this is...
Oh, that ward, he's going to see it go away, too.
This is something we see a lot. This is something that we've seen a lot in solo queue. It was trending upwards earlier in the year, and you know, we've seen it once or twice in competitive play, and unless I'm horribly mistaken, I don't actually think it's ever picked up victories. So it's a ploy that if you don't get kills early, you tend to fall off so incredibly quickly because you need to get all that ability power. And right now, Hook goes out, doesn't catch anyone. Odd One is ready to respond if Mew does go in.
That ward they had in the Tri-Brush, always putting it down, has consistently helped them to stay safe in this situation and farming very well at the turret, 53 to 51 in that situation. And we do see that they're continuously pressuring. Dyrus back to the bottom lane. Bjergsen finds himself alone in mid. He doesn't feel he needs to roam because everybody's playing it safe. They know not to get crazy right now.
Yeah, we do see ultimates being traded there. Dragon's Descent as well as the Dominus between our now top laners. But the one thing that Bjergsen is getting, thanks to the roaming Mew, is a 20 CS advantage. He's been left alone in the lane to just CS at his heart's content. I don't think... Actually, has that red buff camp not been killed? It doesn't look like it. With a single minion in there, it doesn't look like it has. So a good vision ward there from the Odd One. That's going to allow him to challenge for red buff when it does eventually respawn and just try to get even more map presence.
Ooh, Fresh trying to come out here. They will decide to kind of pull off onto that. Bjergsen. So he's only got the Cutlass right now, but you can see so much roam from Schleia, or rather Mew, that he has to. He can't fight that. He has really no armor. The shield's being burst out. Turtle getting caught up quite close, but it's because Special was just on the outside, and you can see they wasted quite a bit there, and they may be able to turn this one around. Lantern coming in, the Q's that oh, the back. He's trying to do the fadeaway culling, but it's not going to be enough damage. He chooses Andy, but they try to get the burst down. He gets the punch in. Ask questions later. The follow-up and the true shot barrage coming in for a double on that one. Actually goes 1 for 1 very nicely for LD.
Yeah, Lemon Dogs at the end of the day managed to make that one work for them. Wild Turtle still staying way overextended. I'm not sure if Wild Turtle needs to be pushing that deep in this 2v2 situation because it ended up costing him. Got caught by all the CC. They end up losing only Thresh to secure 2 kills. And I'm So Fresh, now on Vi, looking a lot more threatening than he was in Amumu in the previous game.
Turtle getting that BF sword, actually picked up on the other side as well with sustain. TSM going for a 3-minute later dragon than previously in our first game. Still going to be theirs. That is going to be a good punch of gold for them. They can get some items under their belt. Let's see what Bjergsen's sitting on, actually. His gold is right now 1,200, and he does have the most gold on his team at 3,200. Most gold in the game.
Well, farming very well for himself right now, as you can see in this mid lane. And, you know, he's been uncontested. You know, Mew has not challenged him. I'm So Fresh has not visited mid at all. I'm So Fresh has not felt the need to. And we'll see if Bjergsen actually wants to try and, you know, challenge Mew for kills. Now, remember that every time Sion manages to pick up kills with his W, oh, we'll talk in a second.
Zerius getting hit up quite hard. I don't know if he wanted all that fight right in front of him. Now the AD carries to face it out. Turtle definitely has the upper hand in this one.
Coming up.
It's going to be big. Sion just on the backside. These are boots, mobility boots as well. So Turtle may have a tricky situation here. He's going to get himself. That Scarlet's going to go off before he gets the damage. Yes, he gets in range. There's the gaze, and he's going to be able to get the final shots in with the ignite.
Oh, it's not over yet. Now Bjergsen does have Deathmark. Does he want to go in? It looks like it.
Missed it quite hard on that one, so he doesn't get that damage. Would have thrown on the Deathmark and had nothing to follow up with, but now he does. Those skills are back up, and he actually misses the additional damage again. Very nice play by Mew, and these guys are handling a 2v1 very well.
Yeah, it does look like they're going to get away cleanly. And Lemon Dogs now, for the first time, looking like they can challenge TSM. They're still behind on gold, thanks to being down a tower and a dragon, but they are up in kills. And the thing I wanted to highlight about Mew Sion is whenever he manages to pick up CS while his W is turned on, while he's got that axe of his glowing red, he's growing in HP, developing hit points, which is going to allow him to survive the burst of Bjergsen's Z. So maybe this is a quasi-counter, and we'll have to see as the game progresses.
Something we haven't really touched on yet, and it seems to be working somewhat. The gold is down, the kills are up, and we all know those can sway. but they've switched lanes. Is that really the best option for a second game after a loss, to switch lanes? Or do you try again at other champions in your pool?
Oh, we'll see right now as Bjergsen's being dived.
Oh my God, I thought they were gonna hold off, but they did not. They are getting zero cares about the turret around them. And the odd one forced back on this.
Going to be very difficult for TSM to deal with those dives. Sion, Vi, landing, allowing you to then land Thresh CC is almost impossible to counter. And Bjergsen didn't have his death mark for any sort of escape available at that time. So we'll have to see how well Bjergsen can respond to it. A little bit more attention from the odd one wouldn't go amiss. I think now the Lemon Dogs realize they've got their ultimates available, and you see that first gank able to secure themselves a kill onto Bjergsen in that mid lane.
It's coming up on 13 minutes. The gold is only a 600 gold difference. That one turret has fallen in the mid lane, but that's only because Mew was out and not in the lane. Every other lane has been seeming to fare quite well so far.
And it's just because it's like solo queue. Purely because the Lemon Dogs are now more comfortable.
Yeah,
and you know,
that's a really good point.
Jat and Wicked talked about it during the analyst desk, is that in the 2v1s, the teleport top lane into a 3v1 dive, not roaming necessarily as quickly from I'm So Fresh, it was decisions that you don't experience in maybe even ranked fives as much as you do against scrims, you know, when you have to explicitly practice it and play it. And, you know, this time around it's a little bit more standard, and they're keeping the game much more even. 13 minutes on the clock, and it's only 300 gold difference, and Lemon Dogs are down a dragon and a tower. That's very good for the Lemon Dog squad.
Let's see what they can do. 6-2 on the scoreboard. 3 of those kills in the hands of I'm So Fresh. Not something he was able to do last game on Amumos, who he is feeling more comfortable, I should say, himself. Looking to push this lane, but seeing on the backside, he's going to hope those Moby boots keep him moving. They get the damage on that. Deathmark won't kill, but they may be able to follow up with more. Repel comes in. Death's Caress is back on, so he's got a little bit of health to mitigate that, or shield, I should say. And he's going to get the safety. They try to go in onto I'm So Fresh because it's very low for Bjergsen. Odd One's going to be forced to run. Good. And it's Thresh coming from the top side. Zerius coming in, going to get the flay, possibly the death sentence. He doesn't even get the assist.
And that's exactly what we were talking about. The hit points there for Mew Sion working in his favor. Now Bjergsen's caught.
Well, Dyrus is going to fight while Bjergsen getting caught up. The communication completely going awry for this situation. Dyrus getting flayed as he tries to get out of that one. And it looks like he is forced to flash over the wall and burn out to safety.
Very good passage of play here for Lemon Dogs. They now take the gold lead, and they're not letting TSM dictate the pace. They've put a couple kills on the board. They're roaming effectively. And most importantly, Zed's burst potential is not at the I can kill you phase for Sion. Potentially for Vi right now, and most definitely not Renekton, is now Wild Turtling Special in trouble.
Oh, Mew just on the outside, a good stun on the back. He saves the Death Caress, but he takes a good amount of damage himself. This allows Turtle to go hard. They are going to put it to a 2v1. Tibbers is chasing as well, and it's going to be Zerius always there in the last moment. Zerius to save Crazy Caps, and he does. Flashes over the wall. How is he 2v1ing with the Tibbers on his back as well? Wild Turtle finally picks up the kill. I'm So Fresh now to try his hand. The blue buff is there. He gets a punch. Ask questions later. Turtle's going to have the red buff proc on. No, actually, the red buff wears off, the blue buff is only there, and he may be able to kite it.
Wow,
the kill goes down, and the siege minion! Blue minion OP.
That was fantastic. Somebody needs to give Xpecial a medal, because the Tibbers stun burns through some of the shield on Mew, and also prevented him getting the stun down. All of that stun duration time allowed Wild Turtle to get auto attack after auto attack, plus his passive over and over and over. And Xpecial just letting stun after stun as the members of Lemon Dogs came in. That was a good, strong fight for TSM, and now all of a sudden Mew wants to challenge for Bjergsen.
Oh gosh, they keep going in. He knows he can't get that first kill onto Mew, but he still wants it every time. Calls back to the shadow. Very well played by Bjergsen. Completely dodges out what they were thinking.
And almost takes out Zerius in the background, thanks to all the splash damage coming out from Zed's abilities. So good play by Bjergsen to get out alive. The red buff was actually stolen away, unless I was mistaken, then by the odd one. So they managed to get the buff that they were invading for. And now TSM are setting up for Dragon. We do see Slayer around, but he's alone, and he'd have to go in completely solo if he wants to steal this buff. Good play from I'm So Fresh to steal a blue buff in response.
A little back and forth here from both teams. I'm So Fresh sitting completely where the odd one was sitting last game. Whoa, Mew taking some good damage there. Has to Cryptic Gaze to get himself out, and that is not a matchup that you want to be seeing. Turtle is starting to get very big right now, but it's almost the last Whisper finished on the side of Crazy Cap, so that's going to be big damage as well.
Wants to play with Bjergsen. He's 7-1. Let's see how this goes.
Punching the Ninja back. He actually is taking quite good damage. Whoa, there's the true shot barrage. He did not see it coming. They are capitalizing very well, Lemon Dogs are.
That was a 7-1 Vi. Whisper the Elder Lizard as well as a Phage. Double Dorans to boot as well. I'm So Fresh is a scary, scary threat. And we talked about it in the pregame during Picks and Bans, that with Vi being a better option than Lee Sinner's, now Wild Turtle's been stunned.
Oh my gosh, stunned. I was going to say, how far are they going to go? Possibly the kill, but the shield saves him, throwing down his own lantern.
Yeah, does manage to get out alive. Culling not being used by Wild Turtle. He's actually quite hesitant to use the culling in these fights, as we've been seeing. And again, X Special with a counterplay. The moment Lemon Dogs commit to a fight, X Special lands a reply stun, which allows TSM to re-engage, or in that case, manage to back away quite safely.
Definitely going on the mobility boots build, at least for Sion as well as Xerius. The catches are really what is making the game for them. We just see Xerius actually picking up the sweeper for himself, selling that trinket out. They're wanting to regain the map now as they're getting a bit of a lead, but down in gold still.
Now, careful of the hook, right? And we'll see how this passage of play goes, because Lemon Dogs, they're finding picks, they're getting kills, but they're not controlling the map.
Right, they're starting to lose that.
TSM's dictating when dragons get taken, when towers get taken, when buffs are stolen. And it's because the Lemon Dogs team's not particularly good at sieging. You know, True Shot Barrage comes down from the side, but you've got 3 melee champions. Yes, they can dive, but they don't want to sit in a prolonged, drawn-out battle under a tower, because it doesn't really suit the Lemon Dogs composition.
Let's look back at Vi as well. The Lizard Elder, probably one of the very few, if only one we've seen coming out this weekend, building it because he was so far ahead. But do you want 7 kills on your Vi and continuously going there?
It's never the ideal situation, but obviously it's working for Lemon Dogs.
It's still
right
a killable
now.
Vi.
Of course, of course. And, you know, Vi can get to the point where she is as beefy and tanky as a Shyvana and a Renekton and is unkillable. But the thing that needs to start happening from here on out is those Vi ganks need to translate into gold for Sion, Renekton, and Ezreal. Get them to that same sort of godlike status, and then the team fights are guaranteed. At which point, Lemon Dogs can begin tower diving more successfully. Because right now, that's not tanky stats. I'm So Fresh doesn't want to go under a tower because he's got a tiny bit of additional HP, but he's not super beefy.
Sion working on 118 total health gain, so he is going Glass Cannon with the ability to build a little HP on that E stack. So we'll see how he fares as we go later into the game.
If you do the math, 120, that's a little bit below a third of a Giant's Belt HP. You get plus 380.
Yeah.
And that's going to cost you 1,000 gold.
Yeah.
So you're talking 350 odd gold worth of additional HP at the 20 minutes. And that's going to continue to grow as you see Mew just continue wiping out those waves. So I like the way it's going to help him survive, but not against 5. Very good defensive flash. No hesitation on that, realizing that if he was trapped by anything, he was going to go down. Activating
that talisman right away. We actually do not see anything on the other side in the way of a talisman. So we'll have to see how they fare. 0-3-7 on the support to 1-3-4. There have been quite a few battles, and let's say both Xerius and X Special have had great plays for their AD carries throughout this game, which leaves them at 4-3-1 for Turtle and 3-0-3 for Crazy Caps, which is completely different from what we saw last game.
Yeah, completely. This time around, Crazy Caps can actually have an impact in the game.
Yeah.
This time around, Crazy Caps has got the ability to deal damage, the ability to pick up kills. He cannot afford to get caught by Bjergsen, though. That is a very, very big thing that a Cocoon cannot catch him from, the odd ones at least. And right now, TSM, again, just finding an opportunity, and they're going to take this tower.
Flex their muscles right in front of the turret. They have enough range damage to not put themselves in a bad spot for that.
So, learning from game number 1, Lemon Dogs lost the matchup arguably because of inexperience and decision-making in the 2v1 early stages of the game. Looking now at the 2v2s, the way TSM is rotating, moving around the map, challenging for buffs, challenging towers, challenging dragons, shows that the Lemon Dogs are inexperienced at this game now. They don't necessarily have the vision they need. They're not challenging for their own buffs all that often. They haven't challenged for a dragon. And right now, Mew's been caught.
Mew is caught. Not much damage on that. He actually used all the abilities, so the Death Mark's going to land by itself. Odd one from the backside. Throwing the cocoon over the shoulder of Bjergsen for the high 5 kill.
Flash cocoon from Odd One. That was a very good play, and shutting down Mew, making him think twice about running everywhere impeded is definitely going to help him out. And again, TSM realizing red buff was up, put 4 people top, steal red, get a kill, put damage on the tower. They are playing the roaming, rotating game now, much better than Lemon Dogs.
Quick shot, you nailed it when you said it's about the objective control here for Team Solo Mid. The fights are always looking good in favor of LD, but now after the turrets, it's going to be the health bars. They go for Sirius, he gets to the back line, and it is going to be I'm So Fresh going down. That Vi is still killable, and now that 722 is off the map.
Massive chunk of gold gets picked up by Wild Turtle as well, so he's been struggling a little bit thanks to playing over-aggressive, and he gives himself a nice 500 additional gold thanks to shutting him down. That's I'm So Fresh, of course, and the split push now 4v1 game, TSM showing the ability to pull the trigger won them that fight. Tibbers going in, stunning members of Lemon Dogs, and the follow-up from TSM being strong and coordinated allowed them to secure it. Now Dragon's up, and look at this, TSM here on time.
Already ready.
No one to challenge, and this is going to be another Dragon going the way of the North Americans.
There's a huge factor of knowing when Dragon's coming up or already being in the motion for it to come up. The seconds are huge in that.
You have to be planning ahead.
Yeah. TSM has done it since the beginning. The first levels were Lemon Dogs. They knew what they could do. They knew how they had to fight. Even I'm So Fresh, we said he was kind of being chased around, not chased around, but went to the red, messed up, went up top, didn't get anything out of it. But he's still the highest kills in the game. They just didn't flow that into every lane, like you said.
Yeah, and I'm So Fresh, I'm not sure if he should have gone all-out offensive. Yes, it allowed him to get more kills. Yes, it helped him in the early stages of the game.
Home guard upgrade super fat. Well, I guess recently, but.
But now you've got to the point that he's building himself a Trinity Force, as opposed to going for a Sunfire Cape, a Randians, you know, building armor to deal with the 3 armor, you know, damage dealers of TSM. I feel like maybe if he'd gone more tanky, it could have helped Lemon Dogs in the prolonged fights that are about to start happening as we start seeing the 4v4s and 5v5s taking shape around the map.
It almost, the way the composition seems to work with Glass Cannon Scion, you want that guy to kill somebody. He's not going to be Cryptic Gaze peeling for someone. Schley is going to be in the back line with Renekton as well, so they don't really have any peel for these guys. They're all fending for themselves.
Yeah, they have to. There's no option at the moment. Now, we are seeing Mewing running into Dyrus, but that's pretty good damage, actually, as the rest of TSM, they've started off Baron. Look at the vision. Team Solo Mid have got complete vision control.
Absolutely.
No one's going to approach the Baron. And because of the bait that Dyrus is playing, he's a juicy target. The rest of Lemon Dogs, they've sniffed it out. Baron's been secured, and Dyrus is still alive.
Dyrus could be dead, actually, in this situation. They find Sirius on the backside. 1 for 1 in that situation. And that's going to be the support being down for the top laner. It looks like they will decide to back off of this one after Baron's down.
They trade top laner for support, which is never an ideal trade.
Right.
But TSM got Baron off of it. Dyrus played such a juicy target that by time Lemon Dogs clicked, hang on a minute, we're being duped. They ran to Baron, got there too late, and TSM was able to dive over the wall and secure themselves another kill. And now they're in an 8,000 gold lead, 6,000 gold lead at this point in time, and just looking very, very strong. With Baron, the regen, I think now's the time to siege.
Yeah.
This is the replay, of course.
Just a bit caught out, but like we said, this is worth. This is what worth means.
It was intentional. I mean, it was intentional. That entire death was done so, was setting up Lemon Dogs to pull them away, distract them. You actually notice Mew, about 30 seconds before that, threw down the stun, tried to challenge him with that Death's Caress with the Cryptic Gaze. And right now, Special and Mew running at a mile a minute, but it's both home guard boots, and they're not going to catch each other.
What? I'm So Fresh is backing off. They don't really like this right now. There's pings coming in. They are being pinched on so hard. The pincer move now from Team Solo Mid. I don't think they're actually going to be able to get this. I feel like somebody's going to stun and just get out in time, and everybody's going to turn tail. No! I'm So Fresh wanted all of it, and nobody else is there to back him up.
Nobody committed. Now Mew's the next one that's in trouble. He's going to get stunned up in a second, and he's going to get shut down.
I'm going to say I'm So Fresh did that knowing he was going to get pinched out, trying to leave Tribrush, and he was saying, no, leave, get out of here. My death is for you, but he goes down anyways.
Oh, look at the death mark following through. Crazy Cap's just going to get popped.
Oh, he gets out. The Mystic Shot barely. barely swinging by on Bjergsen right there. Gets out with very subpar 100 HP. And Dyrus, again, is off on his own, controlling more than, or 2 people right now. Not more than.
But now look at this! Look at the bait! Here comes Wild Turtle from downtown. Manages to secure himself a kill, and they're on the inhibitor turret.
That dragon is protecting his gold. They are going to be able to take down I'm So Fresh. You can see that Lemon Dogs have kind of realized where the game has gone in the hands of Team Solo Mid. The Battle of the Atlantic, strongly fought so far in Game 2, very much in the eyes of Team Solo Mid.
Yeah, much better performance in the opening stages for Lemon Dogs, but not necessarily responding to the map control that TSM asserted for themselves. Expecial's going to stand up. He may go down.
Schleya's getting himself in for the last bit of damage that he can do. Looking to drop the 8th turret of the game. It would be the Nexus. They get in for some turtle damage, but he puts the shell on. Calling in the fadeaway, and he tries to get the kill. Crazy Cabs, he's on half of everything, but he's still trying to run on full. Can they get the last turret? There's no minions left, and it looks like they stave off the battle for now, but they got about 1,000 HP combined.
Yeah, not over yet as here comes Schleya.
They go back in. It's going to be 2 kills coming out. We do see Odd One and Lucian going down. Turtle finally falls as he can't escape deep enough into the shell. Dyrus, he calls it a day as well. And they're going to be back for more soon.
Yeah, great presence there from TSM, allowing themselves to take down the inhibitor. They get a Nexus turret. Yes, they lost the fight for sticking around, but I think they're feeling confident. I think the way that the last 7-8 minutes has gone, it's allowed them to set this one up. In the replay right now, it's just the retreat, of course, of Schleya re-engaging. Good knock-up, actually, landing from I'm So Fresh's Vine. Truthfully, TSM should have backed out earlier. You know, if they were making the
they're
right
feeling
decision.
a bit strong.
But, you know, they're feeling confident. I think maybe overestimating the goal lead that they had accrued. It is 7 towers to 2. They've had complete control of Dragons. At the time, it was only sitting around sort of 6 or so thousand, which is still a good chunk, but not necessarily enough to be hanging around when you've got everybody on low HP.
13,300 gold coming in on Wild Turtle. He's about 3K above anybody in this game.
747. Being a Boeing will do that to you.
And you got to
just take flight.
He was not that early. That was a 303 Ezreal. These guys have completely changed the game around. Expecial got distortion on his mobility boots to continue the flash tibbers coming out sooner. Everything's been working towards the win.
All of the towers, everything's working in the favor. Now Mew's being chased.
Oh, Mew. He does get the Thresh Express to safety, but the death sentence was written.
Yeah, popped like a balloon, as it were. The rest of TSM now playing this one by the numbers. League of Legends by the numbers. Push the objectives, push the towers. Every single tower, with the exception of inhibitor towers, are now basically left, have been dropped down. And TSM, as we said, sieging. They got Baron, they started the siege, and they're just winning it back-to-back with this fight.
Crazy Caps gets locked up right there. Good hit from Wild Turtle. It looks like it's going to be I'm So Fresh going down next. Schleya is the focus right now for the tank to go down that quickly. They are giving 0 cares about the turret as usual here. That will go down. The inhibitor might not even follow because they could go for the Nexus.
Yeah, the Nexus is available. There are super minions pushing in, and I think that's going to be the focus here for Team Solo Mid. Slow start to the game. Wild Turtle does take a big chunk and actually gets hooked once again. And look at that. Sirius is...
Oh! Zerius gets rocked down there. A completely different start to this game, but the same result in the end as Team Solo Mid took back the driver's seat after a very formidable start from Lemon Dogs, but it just wasn't enough.
2-0. TSM take the lead in the Battle of the Atlantic with 2 points over Europe's 1. And a very good performance. Lemon Dogs looking better in Game 2, but definitely not at the level they need to be to compete with the current Team Solo Mid.
I am excited to see what happens with Lemon Dogs, though. A team that will willingly switch up the lanes may not be the smartest choice, but can really open up a champion pool for a team. It absolutely worked in the beginning there. A little too much roaming. They could have diverted at one point.
And I also have to question the drafting phase. I have to question who is making the decisions here from Lemon Dogs. What are they basing their theories off? Malphite and Amumu with the Wombo combo didn't necessarily work out. Zed being countered by Sion. In theory, I can sort of see some arguments to be made, but it didn't actually work out the way that I think Lemon Dogs were hoping. And the same thing happened at Worlds. You know, we've seen a Swain mid, we've seen Malphite as well. It didn't work out for the Lemon Dogs at Worlds. Right. And I think that we really need to step back and look at, from drafting to actual in-game execution, because there's a lot of things that need to be worked on here for the Lemon Dog squad.
Absolutely. The way they played the Scion right? Zed's not going to come in on you, or you're just going to get stunned. So he tried to roam, but I'm So Fresh was doing the same thing, and no lane was getting anything out of it. It was a lot of walk around in the beginning part of the game. After their first 11 kills, they really didn't get any more.
No. And the problem was, even though they were getting the kills, I mean, they had 11-2 at one point in the game, if memory serves. It didn't convert to objectives. They were getting kills, and that was it. And at this level of play, it's the towers, it's the dragons, it's the buff steals. Those are the things that matter. Those are the tiny little inches that you need to take at every moment to actually get yourself a lead and take control of the game.
And overall, the inventories, they really tell a story as well. Damage. Scion goes for the mobility boots right into the Rabadons, and then he started building the Seeker's Arm Guard. Couldn't even get more power out, but he was like, I need defense. You had the Lizard Elder into the Triforce on Vi, so two of your tanky people that need to be tanky aren't really going to be tanky, and Renekton was killable. Shlea just went down as well. I would definitely have preferred to have seen I'm So Fresh go a little bit tankier in that game as opposed to the offense.
Yeah, I can see the thinking. I can reset. If I'm dealing damage, getting kills now, more damage means more kills.
Right.
In theory. But when you're coming up against tankies and mobility and coordination, you need to be able to survive long enough. And you've seen in those fights that when they actually broke out and the dives happened, Vi couldn't do anything because you had no survivability to get through the anti-burst, to get through release burst, Z burst, etc. And, you have to give props to TSM. Their rotations in that game were very, very good.
Yeah.
Once the laning phase drew to a close and Wild Turtle stopped getting caught by death sentences, they moved around. They went for steals, they went for towers, and it was very impressive to watch.
And the ward, the Tri-Brush ward in the top lane on red side, always thwarted either I'm So Fresh or Mew trying to come in with a Scion or that Vi gank. They sat in the top lane for quite a long time. And if we think about it, you look at, who was I just looking at? I believe it was Odd One. Yeah, Odd One. He took red and ran straight through middle, said, get away from my red. Yeah. You're not doing anything about it.
The psychological play, shows himself to the minion and says, hey, I'm moving down to this area. You want to fight, let's go. And, you mentioned the warding in the top lane. That's also part of the reason Wild Turtle got caught so often, because Xpecial kept checking the river.
Yeah.
Over and over and over.
When he left.
He had to leave.
Come in and save your stun.
Is Scion coming? Is Scion coming? And the moment he moves away, all of a sudden, Crazy Caps and Zeros go in, catch Wild Turtle out. So it was still defensive play. And again, also Wild Turtle's reactionary stuns. Every time somebody jumped onto Wild Turtle, Xpecial just locked them up. Very good, strong anti-play.
That seems to be that composition. Something that Wild Turtle can play super crazy on and get scary, but you have your Taric or your Annie to quickly stun and disengage and get back out. And that's really something I think they said about the team, is that when they switched it up, he farms more and he's aggressive. He's not just aggressive.
I feel like both Bjergsen and Wild Turtle, when we heard in the preamble saying, Bjergsen makes calls, I hear calls from Bjergsen saying, I can kill him. I can kill him. And Wild Turtle going, yeah, dude, you can kill him. You can kill him.
Let's go.
I think that's how they back each other up.
All right, guys, we're going to send it down to the stage where Shox is standing by with the victorious Team Solo Mid.
Thank you very much, Riv. Bjergsen wanted to say thank you, Riv. He's playing around here a little bit.
Thank you, Riv.
There you go. You're obviously in a very good mood. Great performance for you guys. How did those two games go for you? Because the second game, you weren't as dominant, maybe.
The second game, they had a really annoying comp to play against. They mostly went for kills more than objectives, and we were actually, I believe, ahead almost the entire game just off objectives. And they just pretty much played on kills, and even when we were up at their nexus, they had more kills. So it's kind of an annoying comp to play against, and they played it kind of like you would play solo queue, but it did work out early. But I think playing more team-oriented worked out for us.
How much of a hassle was playing versus Scion? Because they locked it in last, so I think they thought, we're going to get him with that Scion.
Scion is not too big of a problem in lane. It's mostly that he just runs all around the map and is annoying to everyone, pretty much. So.
I also want to ask maybe the bottom lane how their experience went, because a lot of pressure, a lot more pressure coming out from the Lemon Dogs in game 2. Xpecial might want to talk for the carry.
Yeah, so Wild Turtle basically wants to say that we got camped really hard, but we managed to not die as many times as we normally would in solo queue. So that was a good success. And yeah, our team carried, so we're pretty happy with that.
I don't want to take too much away from the Lemon Dogs, of course, because they are a brand new team. What do you think is the potential in that lineup?
Their 2 games really showed that they had the potential to bring out 2 different strats. And to see that in a new team is always something that you don't really expect. And for us to see that, I mean, I think they have potential. Lemon Dogs, they have shown that they aren't that bad, and a little bit more work, and they probably could be a top LCS team.
Wow, well, coming from an experienced team as TSM, that is, of course, a great compliment. The other one, I maybe want to ask you about your experience in the games. How does the fact that you have Bjergsen now in the mid lane kind of free you up, and might that even change your play style as a specialist holding the mic?
Yeah, is the mic on?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
Go for it.
Bjergsen plays really well mid lane, and he puts a lot of pressure on mid. It's just that Sion game, Sion's really annoying for the first few levels, so we actually couldn't really do much except just farm and get objectives. When we tried to kill Sion, I sort of messed up, and then he just got more fed, so he just decided to just stay with getting objectives for the most part. But with the control Bjergsen has mid, it's really good because we can get easy dragons all the time, and we usually camp their enemy jungle buffs, so we got a lot of that. But aside from that, it's really good to have Bjergsen on the team.
Imagine. Dyrus, how was your experience? Because you ended up playing versus the mid laner in the second game. How was that Shyvana-Renekton matchup for you?
It was a great 4 versus 4 game.
Can you tell me a little bit more?
They ruined all my teammates' KDA, and my enemy laner had 3 kills on me. So they're a bunch of feeders, and they're really bad. But luckily, they didn't feed too hard, and we got some objectives. And I just farmed up a storm and just played Shyvana and pressed W, like the 80 version of Singed.
Now you guys are in a fantastic mood. Of course, this was the first big test for you guys coming up on this stage. So what has it taught you about your skill level and going up against the top NA teams in the LCS? How strong do you think you'll be?
As far as I know, the only NA team that I'm worried about is Cloud9. The rest are non-existent, especially COG.
Now this is what happens when you give Dyrus his own mic. Shots fired. No, Dyrus, maybe do you want to say anything to your fans here on the European side of things?
I'd like to thank all you guys that came out, especially the guys that drove 9 hours. That is very, very impressive indeed. Thank you guys. I love you guys. I thank all the fans once again that you guys are all here. And if you guys, for the fans that don't support us and support other teams like Fnatic, Gambit, CLG, and then the other teams, like, I'm very thankful because without you guys, all of us and all the teams and everywhere wouldn't really have a job. So thanks for coming, thanks for watching, and have a great night.
Is there anyone else who'd like to add something?
Yeah, I just want to say this from everybody else, and including like here, like, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Give it up for Team Solo Mid. Must feel good.
Sorry, I'm just
No
want to say that I
problem.
think we get more support from you guys here than some of the European teams. No offense, just we really appreciate when you guys come out and just cheer us on. When we hear TSM, we hear it through our mics, through our headsets, and we're just like, you know, you guys really want us to win. Let's win.
All right. A lot of love for TSM, for the fans here, and the other way around. Thank you very much, guys. And we've got to take a quick break.